to Ethiopia explained in an exclusive discussion with AMA that Canada and Ethiopia's relation has lasted for decades. The Canadian embassy in Ethiopia is also celebrating 51st anniversary of its long-lasting relationship with Ethiopia. The ambassador also added that his government has been working with Ethiopia in humanitarian aid, food security programs, and other development priorities. The ambassador also remarked that the collaboration of the two countries has been broadened and deepened through time, and they are working with development priorities.
Many years ago, and it continues today, there's a huge program called the Productive Safety Net program that's active here in Amhara as well. But it goes beyond food security. You've seen things like agricultural growth, the whole notion of trying to take Ethiopia further with innovative approaches, working with the Agricultural Transformation Agency, and taking Ethiopia with its huge population, a huge potential for agriculture, further in terms of agro-processing or agribusiness. About 5 years ago, we decided to branch more into sustainable economic growth. And the notion here is that we're trying to empower youth, empower women especially, to take on their own business, to start their own small business, or SMEs as we call them, small and medium-sized enterprises.
According to Ambassador Baker, governance problem is also one of the prior areas that the Canadian government wants to collaborate with Ethiopia so as to support the democratization process.
Another important area, though, is governance. And this is something we've always been interested in, but it's something we're now, especially with the recent challenges Ethiopia's been facing, including the unrest, we're looking at ways that the two countries can collaborate more on governance and on reform, such that Ethiopia can take itself forward to its full potential as one of the strongest and best democracies on the continent in the future. There are many, many other programs that we're working on. I mentioned agricultural growth. We've got programs for women's economic development, and that's very active here in the city of Bahir Dar. There's a lot of youth getting engaged in learning how to be an entrepreneur, and that's one of the big things that we do here.
The ambassador also added that Canada is a long-time development partner of Ethiopia, and his government is working with the development priorities of the country. He also noted that they are working in line with Ethiopia's growth and transformation plan too.
We work with really good international partners and non-government agencies such as the World Bank or the United Nations or groups like Care Canada or Save the Children, and through this means we design which program we wish to do for, say, a 5-year plan, just like the Growth and Transformation Plan for Ethiopia, like the GTP2. We try to design a plan that matches GTP2. We want to match the priorities of the government of Ethiopia. And so in that respect, we then come up with a plan of how do we then get into the best results it possibly can.
Ambassador Baker also noted that the development progress of Ethiopia is moving to the right direction, and the country is also representing the continent in several international podiums. He also said that remarkable achievements have been registered in different sectors of the country.
Is shared like the Ethiopian government's goal of being a middle-income country. The government's talking about 2025, so that's an ambitious and a really good aspirational goal that we hope to help Ethiopia achieve. And in that way, we foresee a time where Canada gets to graduate our development program with Ethiopia such that Ethiopia doesn't need that sort of assistance, and eventually Ethiopia in its own right becomes a development assisting country on the continent of Africa, helping others. But so far Ethiopia has taken a good leadership role on the continent. You're seeing that grow all the time. You're seeing them now about to sit on the United Nations Security Council. They're currently sitting on the United Nations Human Rights Council, and we urge Ethiopia to take that time while they're on the council to advance their own domestic policies on human rights.
Mr. Baker also explained that his government and Ethiopia shares a common goal in contributing soldiers for United Nations peacekeeping purposes and to stabilize peace across the continent.
One of the things that we really appreciate about Ethiopia's role in the world is this strong sense of troop contribution that you've mentioned. Ethiopia is the largest troop contributor on the continent of Africa and, as I understand it, the largest female troop contributor in the world. And for United Nations operations, this is really important for us because we see that the whole route to peace and stability has to draw in the role for women as well as men. And we really like the model that's being set here in Ethiopia, and Canada is emulating that model as well. But on this front, we share that common goal of Ethiopia and Canada together, trying to encourage peace and stability on the continent, trying to see more countries having peaceful democratic transitions in their elections, and trying to see more impact of women.
The ambassador also stressed that his government is keen to collaborate with Ethiopia in good governance and